Good. I am a Nigerian. On the 30th of March, 2014, I resigned my job as a relationship manager in one of the top banks in Nigeria. On the 31st of March, I traveled to Johannesburg, South Africa, in pursuit of self-realization. Within 10 months of my sojourn in South Africa, I had acquainted myself with all the drug lords, the hunchers and the kingpins on the streets of South Africa. And within 14 months, I had sold 200 kilograms of cocaine, and I involved in credit card fraud, and I had made profit in excess of 100 million rand. Because it was so difficult for me to launder this money through the bank, I started living a very lavish kind of lifestyle. I would spend with my friends, go rock climbing, and do all sorts of things with money, go clubbing and all. And in 2016, in order to feed my passion for cycling, I decided to buy myself a bicycle. And I spent 400 rand buying this bicycle. Then the police began to investigate me for fraud. Okay. Don't call the police yet, please. I was just pulling your legs. My name is Goodness Raluchukwu Onwuka. I'm an engineer, and I'm working on a doctorate degree in engineering. I am still a Nigerian. Today, I'm here to share my story. I'm here to share my story about my experience with stereotypes, with perceptions, with xenophobia. I come from a country with over 300 tribes and high cultural diversity, yet I'm no Spartan. While growing up in Nigeria, I observed the diversity in Nigeria. I'll give you an example. You could call 4 different men from 4 different tribes in Nigeria and ask them to pronounce an English word. They will all do this with 4 different accents. That's how diverse we are in Nigeria. Growing up, I realized that some tribes were being marginalized, and one thing that baffled me the most was the fact that some people were still referred to as strangers in the places they grew up, simply because their parents are not from that state or from that community. From the definition of xenophobia, we understand it to be a dislike or fear or hatred for something foreign or for a stranger. So my question today is, how strange is a stranger? How foreign is a foreigner? Shortly before I was born, my parents relocated from the city where they were settled to another city because they became victims and targets during political crises and religious crisis. The victims were always people from other tribes who were settled in a particular state. And this resulted in vandalization of property and threats to their life. How strange is a stranger? How foreign is a foreigner? When I moved to South Africa in 2015, I was involved in the anti-xenophobia march, and we were able to sign a register, get hundreds of signatures on the anti-xenophobia register. But one thing baffled me during that period. And that is an interview of an elderly woman who says she supported xenophobia because the foreigners were taking the jobs that belonged to her kids and her grandkids. So I told myself, I wish I could see her so that I could ask her, where did you get your information from? Who told you so? Are you aware that there are policies protecting or policies regarding recruitment in South Africa? So I tried to raise money for a project I was doing during one of the school holidays. So I adjusted my resume and I took it to the top restaurants in the city. On 2 occasions, the manager looks at my CV and tells me, "You're a Nigerian. Why do you want to work? Go sell drugs." Really? In 2016, I boarded a cab from Boardwalk to Summerstrand, and I struck a conversation with the driver. I asked him how business was, and he goes like this, "Bro, business is not so good." I'm like, "Why?" He says, "That's because, I used to make like 2 grand a day, but now I barely make 500 rand because since these Nigerians came into this business, there's been so much competition." And the other day I was talking to one of them. I told him to go get correct insurance papers because he was using fake papers. And he told me, "Look me, you can't do me nothing. I'm a citizen." And next thing, he brings out a pistol from under his seat and tells me, "Guess what? I bought this pistol because of him." Next time he tells me that I'm going to blow off his head. I'm like, really? I was wondering, what happened to reporting him to the police and having the law take its course? So when we got to my place, I paid him for his service. And he asked me, "You look so cool, bro. What country are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm a Nigerian." So I've also had an amazing experience staying in South Africa. I've been able to adapt to the culture, learn some lingua, and I actually have a native name called Ukukle. And I have these amazing gents that I do life with every day. They are everything to me. They're standing on the sidelines, they're cheering me on, encouraging me to achieve my goals. So I begin to think to myself, why is it that I've met South Africans who, on getting to know that I'm a Nigerian, they're like, "Yeah, you're a Nigerian. I want to come to Lagos." I'm like, "Really? You want to come to Lagos?" And on the other hand, I've met people who just ended their conversation when they realized that I'm a Nigerian. So I thought to myself, xenophobia is a fallacy. Number 1, fallacy of hasty generalization, which is also known as insufficient statistics. I'll give you an example. You meet a Nigerian today who stutters, and you suddenly conclude that all Nigerians stutter. That is just one person out of 180 million people. We're talking about a percentage of maybe 0.0000056% of Nigerians. Number 2, argumentum ad populum, which means that a claim is believed to be true because a good population of people believe it. So when we have chain reactions of hasty generalizations, when Mr. A tells Mr. B, and Mr. B tells Mr. C, and it goes on, and you see people tend to believe what is not true. So today, I believe it's not enough to just talk about problems or talk about crises in our city. I also believe that we try to look for solutions, because when we keep jojoing, when we keep talking for centuries, we won't get solutions. So I thought we could adopt an artificial intelligence approach to looking at xenophobia. So I will introduce artificial neural networks today, and we should understand that a neuron is the smallest component in the nervous system. We have about 100 billion neurons in the human body. Now, the neurons communicate through dendrites and axons. So you have the dendrites receiving signals, and if these signals are up to a certain threshold, the neuron fires and releases the signal through axons to the next interconnected neuron. Now, one important thing is the activation function. The activation function is the threshold that determines if a neuron will communicate. The principle here is this. When we are faced with these external stimuli in our environment, how do we respond to them? What is our activation function? Secondly, it takes a long time to train a neuron. So if we're to train a neural network to do a classification task, the neural network will at first make a mistake and then start adjusting the weights and biases until it can correctly classify the object you're trying to classify. So what does that tell us? I believe it's a long walk to freedom. We decide to change, and change is a process. So we'll actually get to the point where we change. There's a point in my life where I used to dislike some tribes in Nigeria because I had lost friends through religious crisis in the states where these tribes are. So I just had that bias towards everyone from that tribe. But I realized that it's not right. I still struggle today, but the most important thing is this. I keep reminding myself every day. I keep raising my activation function. I keep trying to train my neuron onto what is right. So, I believe in community building. I believe that the strength of a community can be determined by how diverse that community is. I believe that the success of a community can be measured by how the fragments or the components in that community understand, appreciate, tolerate, and utilize diversity. I believe that we are more similar than we are different. For every reason you will point to me as a difference, I can give you 5 reasons for which we are similar. We have the same hemoglobin running in our veins, not engine oil in mine and red blood cells in yours. We struggle for the same basic needs, the need for survival, shelter, self-actualization. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's stop arguing about if I call it cucumber or you call it cucumber. Someone once got into a heated argument with me because I was talking and I said, cucumber. And the person flares up, it's cucumber. I'm like, really? Okay. Cucumber. So, it's not about if you say, I'm going to come back, or if I say, are you going to come back as a Nigerian? I think those are very insignificant issues. Today, I came here with a crystal. It was given to me by a special friend of mine, AJ, from the German War Museum, and it has inscriptions in it in 5 languages. It says, hear the truth, whoever speaks it. Today, I dare you, listen to the truth, whoever speaks it. I dare you, uphold humanity. I dare you, stand for the truth. I dare you, correct those biases when you have the opportunity to. I dare you, educate the mind. Because when my parents call me and when my friends call me during xenophobic crisis, and the first statement they make is, you must relocate from that country or you must come back home. I'm like, the whole of South Africa is not xenophobic, which is the truth. I owe South Africa this truth. You owe the rest of Africa the truth as well. You owe humanity the truth. So when you meet those people who have wrong biases or wrong perceptions, you should correct them. So today, I'll leave you with this question. How strange is a stranger? How foreign is a foreigner? How high is your activation function? Listen to this. If there were no laws to prosecute xenophobes and racists, will you be a xenophobe? Are you against xenophobia simply because you're scared of being prosecuted, or because you truly stand against xenophobia, because you truly want to respect humanity? So today, I dare you, listen to the truth. Thank you.